Alrighty, good morning, almost good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of this podcast called Book Club with Kate and Kelly. I almost confused it with the other one, my other podcast, Here's the Point, but this is not that one. This is Book Club with Kate and Kelly, where I read a book with the intention to improve my health, my wealth, my wisdom, or my peace, and then I talk about it on a podcast to help me digest the info and also to share the info with you so that you can improve those areas of your life as well. Like I said, like I almost referenced, I do a shorter podcast to this. It's called Here's the Point with Kate and Kelly. I do that in about 15 minutes. For your convenience, I do this one. It's a lot more in-depth conversation to really understand the points to the books that I read. I do this one live. I do not do that one live, but you can find links to all of my stuff on my blog on kateandkellysblog.wordpress.com. There I have my other podcasts. I have links to the live where I do this on Mondays, 9 to noon a.m. Mountain Standard Time, somewhere in there because it's different every day. And today's a holiday, but we're doing the podcast anyway. And I write in the blog. I used to make some little TikToks. I got a couple TikToks that you can find. You can find all of this shit there. So, kateandkellysblog.wordpress.com. You like what I did with my room? I changed the room up. I added some life to it. See, I moved my desk forward. You see it in the video. If you're watching the video, you could see it. I shifted the desk forward. I put a shelf from upstairs downstairs. Here, I'll move. Let me see if I move it this way. Yeah, you can kind of see I've got most of my books in these shelves with these cute little drawers, little cubbies. And I put a chair on the other side. Now it's got a blanket. Yes. I mean, come on, dude. This is like a real fucking office. And I got some ugly ass curtains. I got to get some new curtains, but they're the only ones I had. They're like those blackout curtains, and they're just gross gray. They look terrible. But as you can see, the light is very bright from the sun at this time of day. So they're nice to have when I'm gaming and want to reject reality entirely. So I most of my books are still upstairs on my shelf in my living room. Maybe my favorite books are up there, and I've got the rest of them down here. Makes the shelf look really nice. So that's happy Labor Day. We could celebrate Labor Day. This is a happy holiday to celebrate. It's the one day a year where we can celebrate how hard we work, right? By not working. And that's just what we've decided. I actually don't even know the origin of Labor Day, but that's what it makes me think of. We celebrate how hard we work by not working. So that's awesome. It's kind of just an excuse, I think, for the teachers in the regular school year to get a day off early in the year to just to fucking reset if they fucked up their syllabus and need to make some adjustments, right? No, I don't know. Because what did school start 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and we're already taking a day off? It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's fine. It's fine because for most of us, it's a day off. Today I'm working. I'm doing the podcast. I'm going to go clean some carpets. It's going to be a great day. And last weekend, we had a great weekend. We saw Jack Johnson at USANA. It's the fourth time I've seen him, I think. I sat way in the back in the lawn while my family was front row, front and center at USANA. And they got some awesome pics and vids. But you know what? They were there. They were waiting in line for 12 hours before they got in and then stood around all day to get to the front row. And I showed up right when the concert started, got back row on the lawn, and we just laid down and hung out. And I think that's way better. You don't get to see him in, face to face. In fact, even the monitors were delayed. We were so far back, and the music was like medium volume. It wasn't even that loud. We were so far back there, but it was still a great time. And we left a few minutes early. We left at the encore because we know that everybody leaving when the show is over, just like leaving a jazz game when the game is over or a football game, takes forever to get out. And we left at the encore. We were the first ones out. It was so easy. It was awesome. So we did that, and I went to a birthday party. Happy birthday, B Moon. Hey, B Moon. And we swam and hung out. And then, yeah, that's our life, baby. It's September now. The year just never, it doesn't, nothing, none of this shit slows down, but that's fine. We're learning how to create meaning in our lives. That, that makes us better people. Not just to make us feel good, but just to make us better people. That's why we do the podcast, baby. That's why we read books and talk about them and write in a blog and all that shit, so we can talk about how we feel, understand how we feel and what we want out of our lives, and then make decisions daily to bring that reality to life. So, all of that being said, I read a book last week. I finished it this morning. It's called I Didn't Do the Thing Today by Madeline Dore, D-O-R-E. I believe it's Dore. Letting go of productivity guilt. And this goes right up that same vein of one of the books I referenced the most, called Do Nothing by Celeste Headlee. This is right up that same vein. I loved it. I struggled with it initially, but after reading it and thinking about it, I love it. I love her message. I love the idea of, I go down two lanes, and I've explained this philosophy before. There is the I want to be the best at something lifestyle, and there is the I want to have meaning and peace and have a well-rounded life and balanced lifestyle. And both are awesome depending on what you want out of life, right? So you need to know, do I want to be highly specialized in something, be exceptional in one or two categories, or do I want to be really well-rounded, really well-balanced? Because there are trade-offs. In life, in every decision we make, there are trade-offs. If we decide I want to be a super professional athlete, or I want to be the smartest person in this category, the trade-off is you're going to suck at a lot of other things. So you dedicate, because what's required, as we learned through Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers and by Angela Duckworth's Grit, to be really good at something requires just an insane amount of time and effort and energy into that thing, into the practice, into the routine, and rejecting really other things. If I want to be really good at pickleball, I'll go practice pickleball every day. What that means is I'm going to sacrifice time spent doing yoga, time spent going to the gym to lift weights, because I'm also working all day, and I also have a family that I want to take care of, and I have a house that that I need to pay for. Like, I have other priorities, right? So, and then the people that get really good at something are usually ones that don't have to worry about any of those other things. They can practice pickleball, and they don't have to worry about paying a house because they live with their parents. And that's the trade-off. They don't have to work a job because their parents are paying for their life, so they can be really, really fucking good at something. But if you want to be really well-rounded, the trade-off is the highly specialized, consistent, excruciating practice and training. You're well-rounded because you want to have a family, and you want to have a house, and some privacy. You have like 6 hobbies you want to be involved in, and you have community service you're involved in. You have a job that you want to be really good at. So you spend time every day and every week in all of those categories. So that's the theory behind all of this. We can be really specialized, or we can be really well-rounded. This is at least my theory. I don't know if I'm sure someone else talks about it this way, because as I've learned, none of my thoughts are original. I have no original thoughts. I think I do, and then I talk about them, and then I find someone who's written a book about the thing that I thought was original. None of my thoughts are original, and that's fine. I'm not even upset about it. I love that that's why we're doing this. We're learning all of the things that are already out there so we can live better lives. But you know what? I've got a lot of notes from this book because I really enjoyed it. I don't want to spend too much time monologuing. So let's get into it. I Didn't Do the Thing Today by Madeline Dore. I actually heard about this from a podcast that I've really been enjoying called The Art of Manliness. And I forget the the host of the podcast, but he interviewed. I just recently discovered the podcast, but he interviewed this author and talked about her book, and that's how I heard about it. And I was intrigued. So let me tell you about Madeline Dorr from the book. About the author. Madeline Dorr is a writer and interviewer exploring how we can broaden the definition of a day well spent. As a labor of love, Madeline spent years asking creative thinkers how they navigate their days on her popular blog, Extraordinary Routines, and podcast, Routines and Ruts. She now dabbles in various freelance projects and tries to hold things lightly. So, she does say in the introduction that this book should be taken as this is like a feeling approach rather than a logical or a data-based approach to productivity guilt. She does not draw upon scientific research or studies. She references a ton of interviews that or people that she's interacted with and things that she's learned from firsthand experience, which I guess in turn is her own research. It's her own research data, but like when I think about Do Nothing by Celeste Headlee, she references a ton of data on what our lifestyle, the effect that our lifestyle has on our cognitive well-being, rather than just by asking people how they spend their time. And anyway, so it's a subjective perspective to what could be viewed objectively or subjectively. There's the objectively, it's basically how to relieve ourselves of productivity guilt. But subjectively looks differently for everybody, right? So anyway, that's the point of this book. Mashed potatoes, I'll watch while I bike, bruh. What's up, mashed potatoes? Happy Labor Day. I really didn't anticipate anybody showing up on the holiday. I went for a run this morning, and you know what? Instead of doing zone 2, I actually just ran like a normal jog for the first time in a long time, and that really hurt. Okay, so let's get into it. As you know, I take notes, and I write them in my iPad or my phone, and then I draw upon my notes. But I didn't write down the chapter titles, and I want to because I think they're important. Mashed Potatoes says, I benched 315 this morning. Wow. How many times? Once? Twice? That's awesome, dude. That's actually way awesome. I think I could put up 225 max right now. I'm not as strong as you, and we've known that since the beginning of time. Okay, part 1. At the start of the day, chapter 1, the narrowing of productivity. So to start this off, I took a quote from her. She says, being a fallible human means we need to recognize our own tendency to dawdle, D-A-W-D-L-E. I've never heard of dawdle before, and it means linger or waste time. So we need to be able to recognize our own tendency to waste time or dawdle, to dash, to buffer the doing, whether out of necessity or habit. And maybe we don't need to add a layer of guilt, anxiety, or shame to that. Close quote. We need to be able to recognize our tendency to daddle, and maybe we shouldn't kick our ass over it. I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to share a thought about this. We must create our own definition of enough to measure our days, since everyone sees a productive day differently. Quote, our days don't need to be optimized, but simply occupied. Close quote. Yes, so I said, after dozens of interviews and exploring productive people's routines, this book is a, quote, mosaic reminder that the mess and muck look different for everyone. Of the days we stumble, but find something to appreciate all the same. Her own notes from those conversations, the moments of insight, and words from books, commencement speeches, films, and people that have helped her navigate the obstacles of productivity guilt and what's held her let go. I probably meant to say what's helped her let go. So here is the dilemma that I face, and this is something I talked to my dad about this. The book is about noticing when we stumble or when we fail to do the thing, whether the thing is I go to the gym every day, or whether the thing is I write in a blog every day, or I do a podcast every week, or I meal prep every week, or whatever, or I text my mom every day, or call my mom, or whatever. If we are not okay, I guess maybe we'll talk about, we'll just specify on things that we want to achieve. So whether it's a physical feat, like I want to bench 315, so I need to hit the gym every day, or I want to write 100 blog entries, or I want to be really good at the piano, so I practice the piano every day. To do that thing, we need to do it every day, right? To be good at the piano, we need to practice it. You could say every day, you could say once a week, but the truth is, the more often you practice, the quicker you become better at it. So, here's the dilemma. When we don't do the thing today, when we don't practice the piano, or don't write on our blog, or go to the gym, or get up at 5 a.m., or meditate, or whatever, when we don't do the thing, she's saying maybe we shouldn't always kick our ass over it. She says maybe we don't need to add a layer of guilt, anxiety, or shame to that. And when I was talking about this with my dad, he says, well, then when are we supposed to? When should we kick our ass over not doing the thing? That's a really good question, because for someone like me, I'm always kicking my ass when I don't do the thing. If I miss one day of not doing the thing, if I miss one day of not going to the gym, my thinking brain kicks my feeling brain's ass. I get upset with myself, and I feel lazy, or I feel fat, or if I overeat on calories, if I have too many snacks, or whatever. Like I usually kick my own ass. However, I guess the dilemma is, if you don't kick your ass, are you more prone to faltering more often? Are you going to continue faltering? And I guess technically the point of this book is to help people like me not kick my ass so often. My own, not to get so upset with myself or discouraged. It's supposed to help us. I think the point is, we should continue to do the thing because we value the thing. But if we end up not doing it today, it's not the end of the world. And just like a note in here, she says, instead of, let's see, wow. Find something to appreciate all the same. Yeah, we should still find something to appreciate about the day. Even if we don't go to the gym, we should be able to appreciate that we got extra sleep this morning, or that we got a rest day, or that we got to spend extra time with our family. It's like a change in attitude towards missing the thing, missing the practice. If we didn't play the piano, well, we can enjoy the time that we had in isolation, or the time that even if you didn't practice the piano and in turn watched a little more extra TV or TikTok or slept in or whatever, instead of saying, man, I'm such a piece of crap because I didn't do the thing, instead appreciate what was happening instead. Just appreciate that I didn't practice the piano because I got caught up on TikTok, or I didn't do that because my mom was sick and I had to go to the doctor with her, or something like that. Appreciate that, instead of practicing the piano, or instead of going to the gym, I helped my loved one with something that they needed, or just appreciated that I spent time being lazy. Hayden says, can be tough to balance this mindset and becoming complacent. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's so succinct. How do you balance appreciating that you didn't do the thing with trying to encourage yourself to do it again in the future? Well, I didn't think she was ever going to talk about discipline, but she talks about discipline later on, and that helped me wrap it all together, which helped me really appreciate the message behind this book. So there's that nuance to this conversation, because like I said, I have the personality type where I kick my ass a little too much sometimes because I want to do the thing. I want to be attentive to my goals. I want to be focused on my goals. I want to do them because I know when I don't do them, I'm basically regressing instead of progressing. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called, just keep that in mind as we go through this book. I think it kind of helps towards the end. Chapter 2, the expansion of creativity. She talks a little bit more about creativity later. The notes I said was, living creatively means living openly and loosely, not sequentially. Quote, we do not find the way, we create it continuously. Uh-oh, what are you doing now? Huh? I love you. Are you done working out? All right, I'll be done in like an hour and a half. Okay. We got a new home gym, so we're working out at home now. We're just stuffed to work out at home. So anyway, creativity. Yes. Being creative is, it adds one thing that I think about, like when you get caught in a rut or routine, your days go by quicker, and I think slow life down. If you want to slow life down, do things that you don't normally do. And that comes through, that is better realized through being creative or having a creative attitude, trying to do things differently. And you could figure out how to do that your own. But to be creative, we do not find the way, we create it continuously, she says. Part 2, the stumbles in the day. So this is the bulk of the book. This is like 90% of the book. The stumbles in the day, things like routine, wasting time, ambition, balance, indecision, comparison. All right, so let's get to it. Chapter 3, the hopeless search for the ideal routine. Lots of notes. I'm going to see how quick I can go. Okay, so chapter 3 is routine. I'm actually going to write that down. Routine. Side thought. Okay, so here's a side thought I had. If you understand why you engage in social media, maybe it won't seem so attractive. If you understand why you do anything, you can determine if it is good for you or not. Yes, that's attention. That's awareness, baby. Being able to understand why we do something, instead of doing it mindlessly, at least helps us see the value or the lack of value that a thing has. When you get caught in a routine, you can get caught, you just get caught up in not realizing why you do a thing. And if you're mindful about your decisions, every decision you make, then you can at least appreciate or recognize the value that the thing has or that it doesn't have. So, and I guess I thought, how much of social media is just mindless scrolling? It's still such a habit for me to open my phone and then to check on the thing that I was doing and then just to immediately go swipe and go to the TikTok or go to Instagram or Twitter with completely mindlessly, and then to sit and scroll for however long, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, mindlessly. Why? If you could stop yourself and say, why am I doing this? Am I doing this just to get some dopamine rushes? Or is there something I'm working on or something I'm focused on? Or am I engaged in something? I'll find a TikTok sometimes or a Twitter thread and where there's like a concept or a discussion that's really intriguing to me, and I'll follow it really closely, and it's really engaging. And my algorithm knows me really well, just like everybody else. It knows that I'm really interested in like this psychological why humans, all the other things that we read, why humans behave the way we do, a lot of religion TikToks and conversations about God and other religions. And I get engaged in conversation. Like yesterday, I spent the big part of my morning reading a study done by Harvard about how religion decreases how uh, co- let's see, how religious service attendance decreases a certain decreases suicide among healthcare workers. I got there through a TikTok because a guy said that he mentions this study and says that the study only references or is only referring to Christian services, and I thought that's interesting, and I wanted the study. I found the study, and the study mentions all religious service attendants, not just Christian service attendants. So I was discouraged that the guy was misleading in that sense. But also, I spent my morning engaging in something that is that I'm not attracted to. What's the right word? Like that I care about, or that it's intriguing to me. So anyway, I got that through TikTok. So you can have good, meaningful experiences on social media, but are you doing it mindlessly or are you doing it mindfully? And can you catch yourself when you're doing anything mindlessly? Can you catch yourself eating compulsively or scrolling Netflix compulsively, or so I know some people that just they're FaceTime, but they're not talking. They're just sitting there looking at each other and doing whatever they're doing, or playing video games mindlessly. Anything. All right. So this is still chapter 3 on routines. She knocks on routines because they're hard to maintain and they're mundane. I said, yes, we shouldn't judge the quality of our days on whether we meet the requirements of our routine, but routines are tremendously helpful and important. My philosophy and theory: routines and spontaneity are both important. Routines encourage success by refining skills, and spontaneity makes time move slower. Yeah, this is part of her creativity argument that routines are tough, and we set a high standard for ourselves, so we shouldn't be so tough on ourselves when it comes to routines. This is the same conversation. She encourages to don't judge ourselves or don't be so hard on ourselves because we have hard routines. Lighten up a little. Don't be so tough on yourself. Where I'm saying, and I argue, and I think most people agree, we need to have something that challenges us, and I think even she agrees with that. We need to have something that challenges us because that's what makes us better. If we want to accomplish anything or get better at something, we have to push ourselves in that regard. So, I'm going to find a bookmark so I don't have to just hold this open. So yeah, there's the weird balance between sticking to a routine, but also being loose enough to experience spontaneity. So I think you need both, and you can find spontaneity in a lot of ways. At my core value is I exercise every day, whether I'm working towards a specific goal or just to maintain my long-term goals, like to be a healthy old person and to be resilient physically. I need to exercise every day, but that exercise can look differently. It can look like going to the gym and lifting weights, and there's a ton of variation in going to the gym, doing those cardio classes, or strictly traditional strength training, or kettlebell, or like kettlebells is a little more functional, I think, and a little bit more CrossFit-y, but it's not as traditional. There's lots of different variation. And then you can go to yoga, or you can play pickleball, or you can go for a run, or you can go for a bike ride. There's lots of variation. So I think you need both. I think you should understand your core value, which is to be a healthy person, to be a strong person, and to be physically resilient through my old age. And then do different things. Have variety to meet this need of spontaneity. We need spontaneity to be spontaneous. Routines are tough to maintain, but they're not impossible to maintain. And people like Cameron Hanes and David Goggins, they say, just if you want to be good at, you got to do the thing whether you want to or not. And this kind of attitude is like, you need to do the thing, but if you don't, then does it really matter? So what do you value? You should do the thing that you value, the thing that speaks to your person. The last note on routines: our days are improved not by the order in which things are done, but by being present for each event. So that's just like, being aware of why we're doing what we're doing. Chapter 4, the worry of wasted time. I'm going to make that note, wasted time. The problem isn't we are running out of time. It's that we aren't protecting the time we have. Quote, the time we enjoyed wasting was not a waste of time. Again, this is another, it's all tricky. It's all very tricky to make sense of. Because I'm balancing one idea with another where I agree with what she says because that's a quote. The time we enjoyed wasting was not a waste of time. Right? If you enjoy playing video games I played video games yesterday for 5 or 6 hours, and a lot of people would consider that a waste of time. I enjoyed every second of it, right? So, according to this logic, it wasn't a waste of time, where even though I neglected other things that I want to do with my day, like exercising, like reading, like meditating, I neglected those things to do something else. So, was that a good decision or a bad decision? It's a bad decision if those things are more important than the time spent playing games. It was a good decision if I valued the time I spent playing games at all, right? Would it be a paradox? Whatever. Just trying to balance these two concepts. Mashed Potatoes says, it sounds like this author was inspired by people who beat themselves up too much and gave up altogether. Is the author arguing to not worry so much about not being perfect and just keep going? Yes. She talks about she has a whole chapter on perfection too. That comes up later. I guess I am talking more about my own take on the book than I am on her messages, which is fine. Which is why I do the thing. But yeah, that's you're exactly right. She didn't talk a ton about specific people or specific examples. She just mentioned a lot of references to quote or from conversations to back up her points. So, if we're staying here with wasted time, time is not wasted if it's spent doing something you enjoy. If you neglect doing a thing to sit on TikTok, and you sit on TikTok for 5 or 6 hours, and at the end of it, you're like, I fucking wish I didn't do that. I had a lot of other things I needed to do. Then it was probably a waste of time. But if you neglect going to the gym or meditating because the garden needed your attention, or you went to help a friend move stuff, right? That's not a waste of time. If you enjoyed the company of being with the person, even if you couldn't do all of your routine stuff or your goals stuff, it's not a waste of time. Don't beat yourself up so hard because the day wasn't spent doing exactly what you've calculated. It was spent doing the random stuff, the stuff that you don't plan for, the stuff that comes up out of the blue, right? Enjoy that. Don't beat yourself up because you did something else. Chapter 5, the shifting goalposts of ambition. The shifting goalposts of ambition. One note, I said, be micro-ambitious rather than having lofty ambitions. This, quote, focuses on the doing of something rather than the recognition of the reward, close quote. Be micro-ambitious rather than having lofty ambitions. Don't do something to be famous or to garner attention or wealth. Do it because you enjoy doing the thing. Micro-ambition. Be micro-ambitious rather than having lofty ambitions. I can get behind that. Chapter 6, everything in moderation, including moderation. Quote, we can break the rules we create for ourselves. Yes. If you there's a common the most relatable explanation to this that I have is, or experience, is going on a diet. Have you ever gone on a diet and had a specific number of pounds you wanted to lose by a specific date. So you sit down on on the MyFitnessPal and you calculate your calories and you calculate your exercise and the calories you burn and X, Y, and Z, and you know that I want to lose 1.5 pounds a week, so I need to eat X amount of calories and blah, blah, blah. So you set these goals, and then you're doing it, and it's fucking hard, and sometimes you cheat, and then you just give up entirely, and then you recommit, and then it's a pretty vicious cycle. I've been there lots of times. She says, again, especially with something like this, with trying to lose some weight, you set rules for yourself to accomplish a task or to accomplish a goal, and then if you're not perfect at it 100% of the time, it does not mean you're a failure. And what she's saying here is, if you give in to your compulsions or your cravings, and you eat, you end up going to the store and getting a tub of ice cream, or you have 5 extra servings of your fucking greens that you precisely calculated for your calorie goal. Don't kill yourself over it. Don't kick your ass over it, because you can psychologically, you can break your own rules to your own goals. And it's fine. You're going to be fine. That's her attitude. That's the attitude. The result is it might take you a little longer to reach your goal, but you're going to be just fine, and you could still get back on track, and you could still get there. You tell yourself you're going to do 60 minutes of an exercise, and you end up only doing 30 minutes or 20 or 15 or 5 or whatever. That's fine. That's fine. Relax. You can get it might delay the time it'll take for you to get there to what you're trying to do or to trying to accomplish, but you can still get there. Like Mashed Potato says, it's tough to balance this mindset and becoming complacent. But I guess kind of, if you end up cheating yourself on the thing day after day, do you really value what you're trying to accomplish, or do you just lack the discipline and the consistency to accomplish it or to get it? I don't know. I think what it really boils down to is what you value and what you really want out of life. Because not everybody wants to be a healthy, successful, intelligent person. Like this podcast we're trying to be wise, healthy, happy, and wealthy, healthy, peaceful, at peace, and wise. But that doesn't mean everybody has to do those things or to get those things. Everybody has their own, maybe what they want to do is be the most likable person. Or maybe what they want is to be the best fucking video gamer ever. And you're going to be sacrificing a lot of other things, huh? But you know, maybe what you want out of life is, I want to be the most savvy movie critic of all time. That means you're just going to be sitting down, or even you could be riding a bike and watching movies, but you're going to be watching a lot of movies. You're going to be writing and talking about movies, and you're just going to not be great. But then maybe someone says, yeah, if you need to lower your cholesterol, so you need to start going to the gym, and that's going to start cutting in, and you need to meal prep more and spend more time dieting. It's going to cut into your movie critique lifestyle, right? So maybe you just don't care about your cholesterol because you want to be a really good movie critique or movie critic, whatever. You get what I'm saying? You just don't value it. You don't like these values that we're talking about in this podcast aren't for everybody. Health, wealth, wisdom, peace. Those aren't for everybody. Not everybody wants those things. That's fine. But if you do, we're talking about how to get those things. Wealth comes by saving and investing properly, and peace comes by not obsessing with things that are outside of your control, and health comes by exercising and eating right, and health, wealth, and wisdom comes by reading and talking and thinking all the time and discussing. So yeah, we're learning how to do all those things better and better every day. And I don't care to be a movie critique or a movie critic, so I don't spend a lot of my time watching movies and writing about them and reading other reviews and doing all that shit, because it's not something that I value. It could be. I know there's podcasts out there about being a movie critic. Am I getting my point across? This was about moderation. Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you don't do the thing, if you consistently don't do the thing, it's probably because you don't value it. Not because you suck or you aren't ambitious or you aren't motivated or you aren't consistent. I think it's mostly because you just don't value it. Mashed potatoes. I was thinking about this today. I'm so far from being exact on hitting my goals. Like I hit my goal today, but I don't think I've ate enough. I think you meant eaten, but I'm not going to correct you. I don't think I've ate enough protein a single day and missed some workouts. But in the end, consistency is what mattered most. Consistency is greater than perfection, I guess. Yes. And there's a whole chapter on that. Perfection doesn't even exist. It's impossible to be perfect. Consistency is what is the key. We're going to talk about that later on, so I'll save my thoughts. But yeah, you're exactly right. And I guess the point is, so you have these goals. You want to exercise every day, but if maybe you only get 5 out of 7 days with doing an exercise, that's fine. Don't kill yourself over it. If you want to be a Cameron Hanes is, he's exercising every day and he's running 100 miles more every week. But, he's like, I run even when I'm sick or even when I'm injured because running is more important than like healing properly or resting and relaxing. And that's fine. That's his goal. And he's really good at that. David Goggins is the same. But for, even for them, I guess we find peace by just not being like either realize you want to be well-rounded and it's fine to cheat, have a cheat day or have a rest day, or or it's fine that I slept in instead of getting up to go to the gym. Like just accepting that I fucked up and it's fine. Or be a David Goggins or a Cameron Hanes and say no exceptions. Like Jocko Willink gets up at 4:30 a.m. every day. No exception. And he says, there's a video that keeps popping up on my shit where he says, there's no other option. How I feel doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter if I'm sick. I get up at 4:30 and I exercise. It doesn't matter how I feel. That's not the point. If we did everything, and I agree, if we did everything based off of feelings, we wouldn't be doing a whole lot of productive shit. So I agree with that. It's so weird trying to do this trying to balance it all. But that's that attitude. We do the thing no matter how we feel. Or we accept and we want to be well-rounded and say, I didn't do the thing today, and I'm okay with that. All right, I'm going to leave it there. All right, chapter 7. Oh, maybe I didn't say this in chapter 6, though. The constant variance of imbalance is where meaning lies. There is no perfect balance. The constant variance in life is where meaning lies. There is no perfect balance. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you're a Cameron Hanes type or a David Goggins type, can you be, let's say, he runs 20 miles a day. Well, what if he only ran 15 miles a day? Is he going to kick himself in the ass for it? Or what if one day he runs 35? Well, now is that the new standard? And should I run 35 miles every day? There's tons of variance every day, and whether you meet your average or you're below it or above it, whatever. Are you working towards it? And are you going to be okay if you don't meet your quote unquote standard? Mashed potatoes, the thought process in this book is probably more accessible for more people than those extra hard guys. Yes. Yeah, I think but I also think it's because it's kind of soft. It's kind of a soft approach to life. But I think this was she probably interviewed a lot of successful people who are really hard on themselves, and so they push themselves extra hard, and they lost out on other meaningful things in life, which I know Goggins and Hanes are missing out on a lot of other meaningful things in life. We know from Goggins' book that he's gone through a couple divorces and is kind of, is just not a great parent. And Cameron Hanes has never taken his family on vacation. Like, they're missing out on other meaningful things in life to be as exceptional at their craft as they are. So that attitude is not as easy to grasp as this attitude where it's like, like kind of do what feels good, but also work hard on your goals. But at the same time, don't kick yourself so hard if you don't meet your goals. That's way easier to grasp, like you're saying, than it is to say, if you want to be really, really fucking good at what you're doing, it doesn't matter what the consequences are. You do it anyway. You put in the extra work anyway. So what do you want? Do you want to be super hardcore badass and be a shitty father, or be shitty at your job, or be shitty at like interacting with people, have no social life? Or do you want to be well-rounded in all those things? That I'm telling you, I think that's the philosophy. But you got to know which road you want to take. Okay, chapter 7. Chapter 7, the standstill of indecision. Let's see. I said indecision is still a decision. We endlessly scroll Netflix because of FOBO, fear of better options. Yes, we endlessly scroll Netflix. I've been there. I've been there on, we do that with Netflix. We do that with video games. We do that with porn. You do that with everything. Fear of better options. You do that with your job. You do that with relationships. Like, how many people are scrolling, endlessly scrolling Tinder because, I can pull an 8 out of 10, but there's 9s or 10. There's got to be a 9 out there that wants me. And then maybe you find that. It's like, oh, well, maybe there's a 10 out there that wants me. It's the fear of better options. We endlessly scroll, but I just use Netflix because that's the most applicable, right? Even yesterday, we spent some time scrolling through Netflix. Oh, there's the top 10 Netflix shows, but I wonder, they aren't like the Viking shows that I like, or they aren't the early English gangster shows like Peaky Blinders. Like, I want more of that. Where can I find more of that? You keep scrolling because of FOBO. Mashed potatoes. That's a Mark Manson thing where the more choices you have, the more dissatisfied you are with your choices. Yes. I actually think she says that here too. Settle in on a decision and see where it goes. Know what decisions are trivial and know which ones are critical, and give those decisions the appropriate amount of time they deserve. There kind of is no such thing as a right or wrong decision, since we don't have control of what the outcome is. Yes, I wrote about that in my blog recently. I referenced the Chinese anecdote about the son who, they get extra horses, and people are like, oh, yes, this is such a great stroke of luck. And the farmer says, good luck or bad luck, who knows? No one can tell. And then the son eventually breaks his legs on the horses, and everyone says, oh, this is such a stroke of bad luck. And he says, good luck or bad luck, no one can tell. Yeah, go read the blog. It's a great story. There technically is no such thing as a good or bad decision because we don't really know what's going to happen. That's a philosophy. But when it comes to decision making, most importantly, know what's trivial and know what's essential. Know what's critical. Your level of happiness is not greatly influenced by the show you decide to pick on Netflix, or I guess with choosing a life partner, that's a big decision. But maybe the early stages of going on a date, or choosing to date somebody. Maybe like you're compatible, but maybe there are some things that you're picky about, and the pickiness is where the problem is, really, with relationships. The pickier you are, it's hard. The harder it is to find a partner you're compatible with. But the more compassionate and understanding you are, the easier it is to negotiate with a partner, and not compromise. Negotiate's a better word. To settle on values, or to settle on decisions as a couple, whatever. Netflix is easier. But yes, the more choices you have, the more dissatisfied you are with your choice. Yeah, so she says, pick a decision, especially if it's trivial. Do not spend an insane amount of time. Don't spend more time picking a show on Netflix than the show takes itself to watch. If it's trivial, pick it fast. and then settle into the decision and experience the decision that you made. And then you can decide that was a good decision or that was a bad decision. And then I want to keep watching this show, or I don't ever want to watch this show again. And that will help you make better decisions in the future too. You can draw on that experience and you can rule things out. So, thanks for that Mark Manson reference. The more choices you have, the more dissatisfied you can be with your choice. All right. Chapter 8, the deflation of comparison. Comparison is natural, but must be observed with awareness and good virtues rather than malicious envy. This is empty comparison versus enriching comparison. Let me get some water. I've noticed recently for the last few episodes that I've done, like talking for an hour and a half is really strenuous, man. It's getting hard. It's kind of getting harder. Or maybe I've never noticed it before, but my throat gets super tight. So, comparison. Yes, we're biological creatures. We're designed to compare our situation with other people. It's a trait that evolved with us. It helps us like if we're in our primitive tribes and our small group of people in our tribe, let's say it's kind of like there's gossip, all of these social structures. It's a primitive behavior. We compare our decisions and our behavior with others because we want to know what's favorable amongst our tribes versus what's not favorable. Because being in favor with the tribe means inclusion and it means survival, greater chance of survival. Whereas being in the out group and making non-favorable decisions means you are, on the other side. You're on the outside, and it means ostracism and death, basically. All right. I struggle to say that, but comparison is natural. It's normal. It's biological. But we can do it mindfully, or we can do it emptily. Wow, that's not a word. Empty comparison versus enriching comparison is how she describes it in the book. Empty comparison is kind of like the keeping up with the Joneses, scrolling social media, seeing how happy everybody is, everybody that's getting married, everyone that's having kids, got a new house, got a new car, got a boat, got a bunch of puppies, just got a new job, just started their own business, just hit 10,000 followers on Twitch. We could compare ourselves on a shallow level and feel bad, feel guilty, or feel empty because I'm not living up to those same standards as this person. This is empty comparison, and it doesn't leave anybody better off than they were. Enriching comparison is observing the differences, but understanding a few different things. Knowing, like you see those people on social media who are living super happy lives and everything's going their way, and understanding that their life still isn't perfect. You can go buy a new house, but you don't see the debt that comes behind it. You don't see the struggle that comes with it. Someone just launched their own business and looks like it's super successful, but you don't see the struggle that comes with having a business. You don't see that the debt that they have, or that you don't even see the revenue or the profit if they are actually as profitable as it sounds like. Oh, Cannon's calling me. I'm gonna tell him I'm doing a podcast again. This is how it is. What up? Hey, I'm doing my podcast. So I'll call you back. Say hi to everyone on the podcast. Let's go. I'll call you back. All right, bye. Yeah, that's how it is these days. We get to chat with the missionary once a week on FaceTime. Mashed potatoes. The empty comparison is my main argument against social media. You don't get off of it. You don't see any of the crappy reps on social that took it to get there. Yeah, crappy reps. Like like the hard work that someone puts into to get the thing. Like if someone did get a brand new car or big house, you don't see how hard they worked or the struggle they went through to get the thing. You just see the thing, and so you think, I don't have that thing, and I want the thing, and so I feel like crap because they have the thing. And what did they do? They didn't do anything. They just got it, right? That's the crappy reps. It's a good point. Social media is full of empty comparison. Enriching comparison, it looks a lot like communicating and interacting with people that are in your life, your parents, your close friends, your partner, and your neighbors even, and then observing what they have, and then considering what they did to get the thing, to do the thing, to be as successful or accomplished as they are. And then and then consider how you can do the same thing. You got to realize how much extra effort and work and whatever that it takes to get there. So that's enriching comparison. Or to consider what it takes to get there, and then decide, I don't want to put in that work, or that thing, I don't value that. I actually don't value that thing as much as I do, because to be the best crocheter on this side of the Mississippi, I have to crochet every day. And I don't want to do that. Or even like people on my TikToks that pop up and they're super jacked, right? And you see that and you're like, oh yeah, I should go to the gym. But it takes years. And a lot of times it takes a lot of drugs to get as big and as ripped as a lot of these people are. But they don't talk about their drugs they're doing. A lot of them say they're not doing drugs. And maybe they're not. So you take them at their word. Even still, the amount of hours it takes in the gym and the discipline it takes in your diet to get to a certain kind of physique, that's empty comparison. But if you see that and you realize, I don't want to do any drugs, and I also don't want to spend most of my day starving or depressed because I can't eat or do the things I want to do because I want to have a super shredded physique. That's enriching comparison. It helps you realize what you actually do and don't want out of your life. That's chapter 8. Chapter 9, the great disappointment of expectation. So, let's see. Expectations are related to hope and disappointment. We don't need to give up our expectations. We need to detach from the outcomes. How often do we talk about detachment, huh? Expectations are related to both hope and disappointment. We don't need to give up our expectations. Expectations are a great thing to have, but what we need to get rid of, what we need to detach from, is the outcome, or what we expect the outcome to be. Biting off more than you. I think that's a really big point. I don't mean to brush over it, but so much of our disappointment comes by expecting a thing out of a thing, and then it's not what we expect, and so we feel bad. So, like, for example, I can't stop thinking about this new Rick and Morty season 6, episode 1. That's super awesome. I rewatched the whole series. I fucking love the TV show, and I had high expectations for season 6. And guess what? They delivered. Season 6, episode 1 was awesome. But what if it wasn't? What if it was, what if they didn't focus on the lore that I'm so attracted to, or that's so exciting or so cool that I like so much about the show? And they did just another thing, and it wasn't what I wanted. Or I guess a better example is House of the Dragon. Does it live up to my expectation about how awesome Game of Thrones was? No. In fact, I was talking about this at the birthday party this week. Game of Thrones started off on such a hot note because the first episode we got incest and child murder or attempted child murder. Go watch Game of Thrones season 1, episode 1, right? It starts off super hot. House of the Dragon does not start off super hot. And I think even I expected it just to be awesome right out the gate, but they're all new characters, completely new storyline, time frame, and they're building up the character development and the story, and might be awesome. It might be shit, whatever. We should not connect our attachment to the outcome of our expectation. I expect Game of Thrones to be awesome or House of the Dragon to be awesome because I thought Game of Thrones was awesome. But if it's not awesome, am I going to be upset and is my quality of my life going to decrease because it wasn't as awesome as I wanted? Or is it going to stay the same or be better because I'm not attached to the outcome of my expectation? There you go. Let's keep going. Biting off more than you can chew is a form of self-sabotage. If you don't run and want to run, it is better for the long term to start jogging around the block than it is to sign up for a marathon right out of the gate. Be untethered from your job, hobbies, and passions. You are not a runner. You are a person who runs. I guess that's two separate thoughts, but start small and build on that is better than going all in and then, and then falling short. It's like if you want to lose 50 pounds or even you want to lose 10 pounds in a month, or even you want to lose 10 pounds, period. It's better to start on a half a pound a week calorie deficit. It's easier to do that than it is to start on a 2-pound calorie deficit a week. It's easier to lose half a pound a week than it is to lose 2 pounds a week. And so it's easier to create a goal or to create a habit and a routine that's easier than to build off that than to start at 100%. That's that point. And then she says you were more detachment. Be untethered from your job, hobbies, and passions. You are not your job, hobbies, and passions. You are a person who does your jobs, hobbies, and passions. What's better than planning how to get what you want is to simply consider what it is you want and then let the whole thing figure itself out. Don't sit in one place and wait for life to happen, but take action and not be attached to the outcomes. More detachment. And not just letting life happen to you, but take action and don't hold attachment to the outcome. You want to be super strong? Well, your friend went to the gym for 3 months and started benching 315. Oh well, I guess if I start going to the gym, then in 3 months I'll start benching 315. Well, that's an attachment to an outcome. But instead say, yeah, I want to bench 315, so I'm going to start doing it, and let's see what happens. Don't be attached to the outcome. If in 3 months you're still not even benching 285 or whatever, you continue working hard at the thing and then see it where it takes you. See how long it takes you to get to what you want to achieve. Don't be attached to the outcome. Chapter 10, The Trap of Busyness. We fear busyness. I said business. I meant busyness. We wear busyness as a badge of honor. And, we wear busyness as a badge of honor. Okay, and then I said, find that Emerson quote about busyness. I'm going to do that really fast. I'm going to go to Google and say Emerson busyness quote. No, not business. Is busyness spelled the same way? Yeah, it is. Oh, so I wrote it wrong. Same thing. Okay. Ralph Waldo Emerson on business. No, that's not it. I want busyness. I don't think I'm going to find it. But I bet I can find it if I look through the book really fast. So I'm going to do a really quick. Oh, chapter 10 was page 163. I bet I could find it because it was the first thing on here. And I don't want to spend too much time looking. I would rather just do the podcast because the point is the same. Yeah, it's not popping out to me. Okay, well, let's just talk about it then. We wear busyness as a badge of honor. I know people in my life who claim busyness. They use busyness as a look how productive or look how successful I am kind of a attitude. Where I even had this conversation with my girlfriend. I still feel guilty. And I don't know how to alleviate the guilt that I've hired people in my business. I pay people money to do work for me so that I have more time in my life and in my day to do things that I enjoy with less added stress. I can do this podcast and I can play a little more video games and I could spend more time around the house and with my girlfriend instead of working. I'm not doing it unfairly. I'm paying people to do my work, to do work for me, with me. And I still feel guilty that I'm not cleaning carpets for 8 hours a day. And even though that's what I want, I don't want to do any carpets. I don't want to clean any. I don't even want to do the little work that I do with for my business. I want to be completely removed from it, and I'm understanding what it takes to get there. Hiring out responsibility, to just frees up my time. What I want most out of my life is to reclaim more time to do things that I want, to enjoy life the way I want to enjoy it. And I think about my dad, who's one of the hardest workers I know. Maybe, yeah, one of the hardest workers. I know my grandpa, who's a rancher. He spends every day fucking with the cows and the horses and hauling hay and cutting hay and growing. He's all day, every day. My girlfriend's dad, same way. Owns his own business and is at the job site every day. It's noble. We see those things as noble. And they are. They're extremely noble. And I have friends too. They don't, like, it's not intentional, but they are busy, they stay busy, and they express their busyness as, look how hard I'm working. And in my life, I want to be as not busy as possible because I want to do more of things that I want to do. It's such a privileged and selfish attitude, I understand. But it's the situation I'm in, and I want to use my time positively. The free time that I gain, I want to spend on myself and on other people. Not just to be lazy, but to be lazy if I want to be lazy. That's what that whole other book, The Simple Path to Wealth, was all about. Learning how to make money without working so that you can just do whatever you want whenever you want, right? So there's an attitude to wear busyness as a badge of honor. But really, well, I got a couple more notes. She says, busyness does not equal productivity or productive, and being productive does not equal worthwhile. Just because you work 50 to 60 hours a week doesn't make that time worthwhile. What's worthwhile is doing things you want to do, right? If you end up wasting your Sunday playing video games, was it a waste of time if you enjoyed it? But if you spend 60 hours a week working, or even 40 or 30 hours a week working that you didn't want to do, was it a waste of time? Or was it time well spent because it was being productive and making money, quote unquote? I think that's a great question to ask. We keep ourselves busy to distract ourselves from figuring out the uneasiness of not knowing how we want to truly spend our days. Being bored is naturally uncomfortable, but a lot of us don't get the chance to be bored. And what comes from being bored, usually, if you do it mindfully, you can uncover things that are important to you. But we don't often get the chance to be reflective or be bored, quote unquote, because we're too busy working, and we're too busy taking care of our family, we're too busy doing our hobbies, and too busy watching TV, and we're too busy going to the club and getting fucked up. We don't spend time alone with our thoughts, which means we don't spend time thinking about what we want, and that's uncomfortable. I've intentionally made an effort to think about how I want to spend my time, and I'm still learning as I go, but what I know for sure is I don't want to spend 40 hours a week working a job. I would rather use that time refining a craft or working towards a larger purpose like this, like optimizing or maximizing my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace. And in doing so, I've hired out responsibilities in my business to have more free time. But I still feel guilty over it. And that's another conversation, but busyness is not a badge of honor if you want to be free, if you want your time to reclaim your time. Busyness is just a byproduct of doing shit or doing other people's shit. Busyness is not always productive, and productivity is not always worthwhile. Chapter 11, the denial of limitations. Let's see. You have to know the order of which things are important to you so you know what to prioritize. When you know what's best for you, you are giving yourself permission to live the life, live the kind of life you want to live. This is all about values, understanding value hierarchy. I don't know. I'm thinking about what this has to do with limitation. Don't really remember much else from the chapter, but that's the note I took. You have to know the order of which things are important to you so you know what to prioritize. And then when you know what's best for you, you are giving yourself permission to live the kind of life you want to live. Value hierarchy and then executing a value hierarchy. I talked tons about this before. So just to be really brief, if you don't know what you prioritize, or if you don't know what you value, you don't know what to prioritize, especially when you're caught between two good decisions. If you don't know which one's better than the other, you don't know how to maximize or not even to maximize, but just to go down the route that means the most to you. And an example I used recently is I'm caught between spending more time playing pickleball and getting better at playing pickleball, but that will cut into my exercise time, which is also spent lifting weights and doing yoga and riding a bike now, right? Doing zone 2 training. I have to cut into that. So I have to learn which one I value more or what I value most and put it in order so I know what to prioritize. Chapter 12, the harsh rules of discipline. And we've talked a ton about discipline already. And I don't even have a ton of notes. I said, when it comes to discipline, prioritize joy over duty. And then I said, nothing is pleasant forever, so stick with it. So you get both sides of the coin there. When it comes to discipline, prioritize joy over duty, but at the same time, nothing is pleasant forever. You must stick with it. And I'm going to leave it at that. What else is there to discipline? I guess all else I'll say is motivation, which I think is no, it's not the next chapter. But motivation comes and goes. It's fleeting. It usually is. It comes after inspiration or some kind of realization that we want something or like something or turned on by something. So we're at first usually motivated, but we must be disciplined and consistent to stick it out. And I think there's another comment later on about motivation and consistency, but I could be wrong. It could be from a different book. I don't remember. Probably from another book. There's motivation, and motivation is to discipline what anyway, I don't remember the thought. But that's discipline. Mashed potatoes. Figuring out my values has been the biggest thing that's helped me feel good about my decisions and how I spend my time. It's a crappy feeling not knowing what your values are. None of what you choose to do with your time makes sense. That last sentence. None of what you choose to do with... Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. And growing up, even just like within the last 6 years, since I've been home from my mission, there was a short while after I stopped going to church where I was going out to clubs and bars and being promiscuous. You know, I was flirtatious, sleeping around, getting drunk all the time, and felt like shit. And I didn't really know why I felt like shit. I just thought it was a consequence of living that lifestyle, which it is. But then I also didn't realize that I feel better doing other things. I feel better in a committed relationship. I feel better doing not drinking. I feel better getting enough sleep. I feel better getting up early and exercising and working towards goals and things that are important to me. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't have my values figured out. I didn't know what I wanted out of my life. I'm still figuring it out, but at least I know now that I'm figuring it out, or that I'm on that road to figure it out. And a lot of people spend their days not knowing what they truly value. They don't spend the time to figure it out. They spend their days doing what feels like it feels good to go to the club and it's constantly stimulating. There's loud music, bright lights, drinks and food and people and energy, and it's all stimulating. So it all is designed to feel good, make you come back and do more of it. But what I didn't realize is I personally enjoy spending my time sober and exercising and playing games and interacting with just my close group of friends and not being super like engaged with a bunch of strangers. I don't enjoy like fucking around with a bunch of people I don't know. I'd rather spend time with people I do know. And she talks about quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. I think she says it in part 3. But anyway, yeah, a lot of I had to be told to consider my values before I knew what that even fucking meant. But now now I spend my time doing that. A lot of people just don't know that that's something they should do. They don't know that they should consider, do I actually value this, or am I looking for something else? Do I just do this because this is what my peers do? Do I do this because this is what my parents have done their whole lives? Or do I do this because this is what makes me a better person? You got to spend time considering those things. Chapter 13, the push and pull of distraction. Lots of these I've talked a lot about before, and I got a few notes about distraction because I think our entire life is a game of navigating different kinds of distraction. And now in this world that we live in today, we're faced with probably thousands of different distractions that didn't exist 200, 300, 400 years ago. Distractions change, they look different, they feel different, but now we're faced with so many fucking distractions. So what do we do? Here's what I said. If you do not pay for the product, you are the product. For me, that's a lot of video games I have that I'm looking at on my computer right now. Free to play. What does that mean? Especially for these really intricate and elaborate and very attractive and fun games. I'm looking at Modern Warfare and Valorant. And I don't think Sea of Thieves was free to play. It was for a time. Rocket League, Apex Legends, Halo Infinite. Was Battlefield free to play? They're all free to play. Fall Guys is free to play. Red Dead Redemption Online, free to play. And then so they're all free to play. And the point is, if you don't pay for it, you are the product. There's the whole with social media is all free, and they're selling your data. That we know now, they're selling your data. I saw a video on TikTok because it hears every conversation I have and knows me very well. Someone explained on a TikTok that free to play video games are designed, 1, to suck all of your attention, and 2, to make the experience like a casino, like gambling. So they design they make it free to play so they get everybody involved, but then they create a bunch of attractive things like video game skins and gun skins and emotes and all this shit. And they design it like casinos do, and they get you hooked like gambling. And all these games are based on, it's all randomized where it's not like Mario where you can play the same level over again. Every game is different. In Fortnite, you can land in the same little town every time you play, but where the loot is going to be different. What the loot is going to be different. The people that land there is going to be different. Every few weeks, they change the schematics of the game where they add guns or take guns away or abilities. And anyway, that's why one reason why video games are so attractive is because they prey on our psychological needs and behavior. We're attracted to the variety, especially with something like that. That's the one reason why we don't sit and play Mario World over and over again. It's the same experience over and over again. But Valorant and Apex and Fall Guys and Fortnite and Rocket League and Halo, they're all different experiences every time. Even Red Dead, with how vast and complicated Red Dead Redemption 2 was, technically, there's only so much you can do in the game. But Red Dead Online, I played that for the intentionally for the first time yesterday, and they have the exact same money system that all these other games have. Like, you can pay to upgrade your player, upgrade your horse, upgrade your clothes, upgrade your camp. You got to pay real world dollars for this virtual currency, to spend this fake virtual currency. Just like casinos, you trade your real currency for chips, for casino chips. It's the same logic, and it's insane. But that's like not even part of this chapter. I'm all in on this. Sorry. That's my thought on distraction, though, because she said that. If you do not pay for the product, you are the product. Attention is the antidote to distraction. Quote, instead of eliminating distractions, focus on protecting your attention. Just like, what was the other one? The problem with wasted time. The problem isn't that we're running out of time. It's that we don't protect the time we have. Instead of trying to eliminate distractions, focus on protecting your attention. And what is attention? It's like intentional focus. Attention is looking at somebody and listening to them. It's like reading something and not drifting. It's like focusing on it. It's like playing music and listening to yourself play the music. Listen to the band around you play music instead of just moving through the motions. The antidote to distraction is attention. Focus on one thing at a time, no multitasking. We've learned through several other books, multitasking doesn't exist. Our brains are really good at jumping from task to task in our mind, one task at a time. Our brains are single-tracked, but they're really, really good at bouncing back and forth and through multiple tasks. But our brain only focuses on one thing at a time. But it can just move around. So if you want to increase your attention, remove the other things. Like if you want to do this podcast, remove music and remove animatronics or animation on the video, and maybe get rid of my phone and just have the book, and maybe just have a piece of paper, like, instead of getting texts, instead of being distracted. Maybe close down my other screens so I'm not looking at this Ralph Waldo Emerson Google search with all these other things that aren't related to what I'm talking about right now, and I'm doing it right now. Okay, and the last chapter 14, last chapter of part 2, and then I have part 3, which is really short, and then I'm done. Chapter 14, the trying pursuit of perfection. What did you say earlier? Mashed potatoes consistency is greater than perfection? Yes. So the only note that I took here is trying and failing at something humbles us to ourselves. Wow, that's the only note I took. But yes. A lot of us don't try something, and I guess I'm mostly talking about myself. I don't try a thing because I'm a perfectionist. And when I want to do something, I want to be really good at it at the very beginning. It's why I delay a lot of the decisions that I make, even in my business. If I want to expand and try, like, do a new service or sell a new product, or even hire, like, if I want to grow my business and I want to reclaim my time, I got to hire a person. I got to hire help. But I'm afraid of hiring somebody and anything going wrong. So I delay the hiring, and I delay the selling the new product and selling the new service because I'm a perfectionist. And even just at the smallest scale. But in my brain, that's what delays me. What's more important than perfection is trying and failing and trying again until you get it right. But you could prepare yourself as much as possible. But if you've never done the thing before, just like the shitty first draft example from another book, you're probably going to suck at the thing that you try anyway. Mashed potatoes just said it too. Let's see. Yeah, you said it too about just sucking at something. It's consistency is what matters most. It's what helps you get good at the thing anyway. So trying and failing at something humbles us to ourselves as well. Trying something and realizing, yeah, maybe I'm not as naturally talented at this thing, and I need to put in more effort and attention to do it, to be good at this thing. That's humbling. All right, let's move on to part 3. Let's see, contents. Part 3, at the end of the day, chapter 15, the generosity of kindness. When we measure this is the okay, here we go. This is the synopsis of the whole book. Oh, before I read it, mashed potatoes. Our family motto that's framed by our door is fail until you succeed. Oh, that's really sweet. Fail until you succeed. Cute. Yeah, just keep trying. Just keep doing it. Some days will be better than others. You'll be Cameron Haynes and run 20 miles a day, or maybe you'll run 10. Maybe sometimes you run 30. But keep trying. Just keep trying until you reach what it is that you want or that you're working towards. All right, here's this part 3, chapter 15, the generosity of kindness. Here's the synopsis of the book. When we measure our day on how productive we are, we leave little space for generosity and kindness. When we measure our day on how productive we are, we leave little space for generosity and kindness. It's more important to be generous and kind than it is to neglect other people or things or ourselves because we want to be productive or accomplish something. Mashed potatoes, GG's. Thanks for showing up, man. Happy Labor Day. Loneliness is usually a result of lack of quality of company. We've talked about that before. Lack of quality in almost every regard is better than quantity. Loneliness is remedied through depth of connection rather than quantity of connection. We judge others by their actions, and we judge ourselves by our intentions. That's not fair. Especially when you're like, yeah, I wanted to go to the gym, but I didn't. But you judge a person on base whether they went to the gym or not. That's not fair. Maybe they had the same intention. Judge everyone by their intentions, I think, is kind of the message there. Chapter 16, the depth of curiosity. More on curiosity. Be genuinely curious. Approach your day hour by hour instead of trying to solve your life purpose right now. Yes, I think the most significant thing about curiosity to me, as I've said, is it slows time down. It makes the days go slower. Novelty and spontaneity and curiosity just they just make the time go slow. I don't know how else to describe it. It slows down time. When you're engaged in the same shit every day all the time, it becomes routine and you just kind of coast through it. It makes the days go by really fast, which is really good if you're like my brother on a mission. That's all I wanted to do was make the time fly, and it did. But if you want to slow down the time, approach your day hour by hour instead of trying to solve your life purpose right now. Chapter 17, the moments of enjoyment. How we spend our days is how we learn how to spend our lives. Quote, we cannot control how respected, accomplished, and desired we are, or what will become of our days, or when an end will come to them. All we can do is enjoy the experience, learn how to treat special things, and resist conflating productivity with our worth. That's how we can get the good out of every bit of it. She has a cute little bullet point section at the end that I really enjoyed. I'm going to read it to you. Even if you didn't do the thing today, find something to enjoy. Enjoy the failures and mistakes. They're a sign we're trying. Enjoy the unknown. It's where we discover something new. Enjoy the rest, the boredom, the empty moments. That's where we find insight. Enjoy the busy too. That's where we find momentum. Enjoy the rut. That's where we can discover a new path. Enjoy the wobble. That's where we find the variances that light us up. Enjoy the learning. It's where we can never fail. Enjoy the limitations. It's where we find awe and creativity. Enjoy the choices we make as well as the plans that change. They're often the making of our lives. Enjoy the comparisons with another. It's where we find our secret joy. That's a good way to talk about comparing ourselves, the emptiness and the enriching comparisons, enjoy it. Enjoy the comparisons with another. It's where we find our secret joy. Enjoy the questions, because life would be dreary if we had all the answers. Enjoy the doing, because the joy is in the doing, not the done. Enjoy the incomplete, because that means there's no more to come. Enjoy the moments. If we tend to them, if we get the good out of every bit of them, what a life we'll have created. That is I Didn't Do the Thing Today by Madeline Dorr, letting go of productivity guilt. I like it. I'll put it right up there with the Do Nothing by Celeste Headlee. I think if this conversation makes any sense, we can be super well-rounded. We can be super specialized in a thing and neglect the well-roundedness. But in everything, just life is meant to be enjoyed, right? We're alive once. That's all we know of. That's all we for sure know. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy this one time to be alive that we have. Let's not be too hard on ourselves. Let's not beat ourselves up too much. Let's work really hard to do what's important to us, to help other people and to help ourselves, and not kick ourselves while we're down. The book next week, I did not buy the copy yet, but I found it this morning. We're going to read Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson, the 4 types of human behavior and how to effectively communicate with each in business and in life. Surrounded by idiots. And there's a whole series on being surrounded by idiots, being surrounded by different kinds of people. It's got 4.5 stars in Apple Books. It's sold over 1 million copies, it says. So that's a good sign. So that's what we're going to read. You can join me live for that conversation on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook through the links on my blog, cadenkellysblog.wordpress.com. You can also catch the shorter episode of the podcast. It's called Here's the Point with Caden Kelly. It's posted on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as my Instagram. Find that all on the blog. This week, just be kind to yourself and don't kick yourself too hard while you're down, or if you mess up. I got to take my own advice on this because sometimes I mess up and I'm hard on myself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be generous and be kind to others. That helps make a meaningful life for all of us. And with all that being said, we will see you next week, September 12th. There's nothing on my calendar, so I should be good. Happy Labor Day. We'll see you next week.
They